Good morning, evening, afternoon, midnight, whatever time it is you're watching this. Hi. We're going to talk about the air seeder today. This is probably one of the biggest, most complicatedest machines on the farm. Definitely the most difficult to drive, or takes the most skill, I guess. No, that's the sprayer, I lied. Anyways, we're going to talk about this machine. We're going to start really simple, and then we're going to get a little more complicated. So depending on how long you watch, depends on how complicated of an explanation you'll get. There are 4 components to this air seeder here. We have the tractor, we have the air cart, the drill, and then the liquid cart. So, kindergarten, tractor does pulling, air cart has seed, drill puts in ground, liquid cart has fertilizer. There we go. Okay, that's the easiest version. Tractor performs many functions actually. Besides being the thing that pulls, it also is the thing that steers. It provides hydraulic power and it provides electrical power, and it also pushes the machine backwards when it's going down hills too quickly. Tractor is very important, and we're pretty fortunate to have a fairly nice one like this. It has about 360 horsepower, weighs in between I think 50 and 60,000 pounds with all the extra ballast it has a GPS for driving straight lines, and has all the control monitors and stuff to run the rest of the system. The air cart here, the reason they're called air carts is because they use fans and air to move their product back to the drills. The air cart has all of their seed in it. There we go, now the sun's gone. We also have a fairly large one, 380 bushels, which is super duper. 3 compartments, all of different sizes. You can use different combinations of different sizes depending on what you need. A 10-inch fill auger here on the side that spins out so that we can dump trucks into it, like Zatvan or Zatvan over there. We can back them up to right about here, and the auger goes up and dumps into the top. Maybe we'll climb up there and open one of the lids. So the air cart has these big fans on the front. It has a single hydraulic motor that runs both fans and an alternator. We'll get into why it has an alternator and a battery in a minute. This liquid gauge shows us the pressure on the liquid kit when it is operating. And here we have all of the electrical and hydraulic connections, as well as cameras. Yes, we have cameras. They aren't nearly as frivolous as they sound, honestly. So let's climb up on the air cart. The sun is the wrong way today, but it's not windy, which is critical for me being able to do anything. Critical freedom infrastructure. So here's one of the tanks. This one's 118 bushels. It is also practically empty. There's flax at the bottom because that's what we're currently seeding. And there's a camera. And there's a camera. Each tank has a camera because this cart is 15 years old, I think, 14 years old, something along that lines. And sensors don't work. And thanks to COVID and stuff, sensors for pretty much everything are getting to be impossible to find. So although we have some spares, there are some things we don't have, some things we can't get. And it's literally just easier and cheaper to put an entire camera kit in than to buy one tank sensor. So we have cameras. And a backup camera is sweet because you can't see behind you. So that is the air cart, almost. Here's the manifold system for the air cart. This all drops out of the way if you need to work on the rollers. So on the bottom of each tank, there's a metering box. This is a meter roller right here. It spins this way, has little flutes along the inside of it. So as it turns, it slowly pushes seed out. Seed drops down into the air tubes. Air is introduced through the front through a bunch of ductwork. And so then the air blows down the tube and out towards the back of the machine. Now, our drill is a single chute, as it's called, and this cart is capable of triple chute. So you see there's 1 layer of pipes, 2 layers of pipes, 3 layers of pipes. So all 3 tanks can drop into the bottom pipe, the back 2 tanks can hit the middle pipe, and the back tank can hit the top pipe. So you can be placing stuff in 3 separate locations if your drill supports it. Because we're a single chute drill, everything drops down into the bottom pipe, super simple. There's the 3 switches to run the 3 different meters. We're not using the front one for flax because of air siphoning, so we're just using the back 2. We have a calibration button so we can turn it to make it operate. I love my knees, I love my knees, I love my knees. Here's how the meter rollers are driven. Remember I said we'd mention that alternator and battery that are up there? Well, this is a variable rate cart, is what it's called. And so it has a ground speed sensor inside here. That wire is for the speed sensor. And that tells the computer how fast the cart is moving. And once we tell the cart how much product we want, it starts spinning one of these electric motors, which then, this is easier. The electric motor provides the number of RPMs, and then we have a hydraulic assisting motor right here, which provides the power, which then spins the roller. There's a sensor to tell it how fast the roller is going. And it knows, once we calibrate it, it knows how many pounds per rotation it can put out. So it just changes number of rotations based on the speed that we have. Now, when you have 3 electric motors like this going, that can take a fair bit of power, as well as all the sensors. So it just makes sure there's no voltage drop between the tractor and the cart by having its own alternator and battery. This system is super awesome, but there is quite a few sensors and electronics involved, computers and whatnot. And computers don't really survive farm environments well. Shaking, banging, hot, cold, dusty. And they're expensive, and currently you can't find them. Literally, this is only a 14-year-old cart, and as far as I know, new computers do not exist. So you can get these carts in ground drive, where they have a chain coming off the tire, and electric clutches, metering boxes over here, that transmissions over here, that drive the rollers different rates based on a sliding scale. So it's all ground drive, much, much more simple, but it involves charts and density calculators and all kinds of stuff, but no freaking computers. So the back of the air cart here, like I said, we're only single chutes. We're only using these 4 big hoses. The other 4 are curled up around for our double chute drill, which is hanging out over there that we don't really use much anymore. Not really a whole lot other to say. Back here, lights, so we can see in daytime, even though we don't, see like daytime at nighttime. Electrical and hydraulic connections, and the blue hose is for the liquid. This is our drill. It is a k-hart 2nd gen frame with the 8612 undercut opener. It is pretty freaking awesome. It is produced relatively locally, like a 2-hour drive. I can be shaking the hand of the gentleman who designed this. I have his cell number. He's pretty awesome. And his son's cell number. He's also pretty awesome. I would like to do an interview with them sometime soon too. Another small town Saskatchewan business. And they're really into soil conservation-y stuff. So I would like to go talk to them at some point. But we got this drill because it is almost 0 ground disturbance when it runs. We will get to that. Here's more of the liquid kit. The filtration system on the cart. Fluid comes in from this line from the liquid cart. We have the pressure gauge on the high side of the filter, so when the filter plugs, we can see it. And then each side of the drill has its own section we can turn on and off. Here's one of our liquid manifolds. These are a little bit excessive, but they're very nice. You can turn off each individual run with the valve up top here. You can see, when we don't have a humic in it, you can see balls inside here that actually move when there's product flowing. There's 2 red ones there. So you can see when product is moving. We have 4 liquid manifolds because there's also 4 air manifolds. And so they all match. 13 runs on that, 13 on this. And they're in order on the ground. So if you have one that's not working, you just simply count how many numbers it is in from the edge on that manifold, and you go, it is this one. And you can isolate the problem to wherever it is because they're all in a row and easy to work with, which is sweet. So the opener itself. Here is the opener itself. There are 2 discs on a little bit of an angle, as you can see. Here's how they run in the ground. They're turned to the side a little bit, and then they're undercut. They can actually pivot. Does this one move very well? Yeah, they can pivot with the ground a little bit, so that when you're going around corners, they're not skidding. So the 2 discs are different diameters, so they actually cut against each other when they rotate, which helps them to open the ground a little bit better. They're on a parallel linkage, so that when they move up and down, they don't change their seating depth. The seating depth is regulated by the packer wheel, which moves up and down against this cam here. And so when we move the cam and rotate it, kind of hard to do with one hand. So if we turn it quite a bit, we rotate this cam further down, the packer wheel can't come up quite as far, and it doesn't allow the opener to go very far into the ground. Changing depth on these is really, really easy. It takes me about 5 minutes to change all 52 openers. I have my liquid tube snuck down in front of the seed tube. It's kind of difficult to see, I'm sorry. Liquid tube is a blue hose you probably can't quite see. There we go. There's a liquid tube there. It needs work. It's not perfect. But that is the very basics of the drill. The wings fold down. We have 42 functional feet, and it follows the ground pretty decently, and it just works. I, as welder, and I actually built this hitch to tow a liquid cart, because this drill did not come with a hitch, or not a suitable hitch anyway, so I had to build one. So I built it. And so all the electrical to run the cart simply goes through the wiring, the light wiring here. I did quite a bit of figuring and thinking to get power from the tractor all the way back here to run the liquid cart. So the liquid cart really is simple. It carries liquid and it meters it, and it pushes it up to the drill, and the drill does all the hard work. So we'll go around the other side and show you how that all works. I added all these lights and stuff on the back and reflectors and stuff because I like to be seen on the road, and I had them on an old sprayer, so we put them on here. Yes, that one is broken. I will fix it soon. Okay, so here's the heart and soul of the liquid cart. This is the metering pump. It is a ground drive pump. There is a chain on the inside of the tire, which drives the shaft through an electric clutch that then turns the pump. I will show you how I actuate that in a little bit. We'll get back up in the tractor and show you how this is all controlled. So that pump is turned. It sucks liquid from this manifold on the bottom of the tank, comes through another 50 mesh strainer. Screen it, screen it, screen it, screen it is the motto with liquid fertilizer. Up into the pump, through the pump, and then out through that little hose and over into the drill. Now I've added another layer of complexity here because reasons. It's very dusty in here, but I'll show you. We have an electric pump in here for reasons. There's a battery, there's a switchboard to flip back and forth between that one and electric pump here. So the electric pump I use for priming and for problem solving. The electric pump can either pull out of the tank, pull the same fertilizer the ground drive pump does, and can either push it through to the manifold, which goes back to the drill, or it can go through another hose and be pushed through the bottom of the liquid pump, like the ground drive pump. So why I have this set up is so that if we have problems, I can actually take this hose, stick it in the top of the water tote that we have here, and pump water through the system if we're having lots of plugged orifices, need to clean things out. When it comes time to winterize, I can take that hose and put it in a tub of antifreeze or oil or something, and actually pump antifreeze or oil through the ground drive pump without having to take it apart or without having to put anything in this tank and try to get it to prime. I can just force it through with the electric pump. And every spring, when this pump has inevitably lost prime, they don't suck very well, they only push. I can just push prime it with the electric pump. I can just force fluid through it and voila, it is primed. So just a couple of valves and a couple of switches in order to get that electric pump to do many things for me, which is super handy. We also use this place to store a couple of discs, spare discs, because it's disc drill. There's a lot of bearings there. We occasionally have one fail, and by occasionally, I mean we're 3,000 acres in and we've done 4 bearings. Yeah, 4, that's it, big whoop. So that is what's in this little toolbox here. Again, everything in here just makes life so much easier when we're having troubles, that we can just have water in the system or to just be able to force prime the pump or anything. This is all super duper handy. So now we're going to go up in the tractor and show you how you actually control all of this stuff. And the first year, last year was our first year with liquid, and there was a very large learning curve to go with that. It took quite a while to get our hands figured out of what we were doing, to learn all the stuff, make all the mistakes. So I tried to make things in the cab of the tractor as easy as possible. So we're back in the cab of the tractor. GPS, very similar to what's in the sprayer. By similar, I mean exactly the same, except it turns the steering wheel without having a little wheel. It has an electric motor in the middle. So this is the control monitor for the air cart. There's a camera monitor right there. There's no monitor for liquid cart because there's really nothing to it. So how I have this set up, see this little switch here? In its on position, you watch the paint turn on and off on the GPS. This switch also controls the work switch circuit on the back of the air cart, so that I can't turn on because the fan and alarms and stuff come on. When I turn the switch on, it turns on the air cart and turns on liquid cart and turns on the paint on the GPS. So therefore, they're all linked together. So I turn one switch, it does all 3 functions, so I can't forget one. Because you can't see where you put liquid, you can't see where you've put seed unless you have the paint on the GPS. You can have the drill in the ground, and it can be in the ground making, moving dirt and stuff, but unless you have the seed turned on, you won't know that there's seed there really. Sometimes, especially with flax or canola or something, it's impossible to find. So having one switch all hooked together makes life really easy. When you go to lift the drill, you turn the switch off, lift the drill up, and when you put it down and turn it on, forwards and down, they just work together. So that's pretty simple for how we operate all of those things together. The rest of the tractor I'll go into quickly here. These are all 4 of the hydraulic controls. We have the fan, which is on the front of the air cart again, right there. So you have the fan. This runs the auger circuit on the cart and also the meter rollers for calibrating. This folds the wing on the drill, and this lifts the drill up and down to put it in and out of the ground. These are 2 gear shifts. There's a 12-speed transmission here, a 4-speed here, and a 3-speed with reverse here. Throttle, emergency disconnect for the steering, Bluetooth stereo because that's just kind of required. And again, I said the GPS. And of course, we have air conditioning because tractor. And that's really about all there is to it. This seat that I'm sitting on actually swivels around like 180 degrees, which is great because I spend most of my time doing this. I look we spend a lot of time looking back because you can have all your problems are going to be behind you, generally speaking, unless you're my dad, who fell asleep last night and may or may not have driven into a fence. I myself have never driven a machine into a fence because of a GPS. Nope, never. Did not definitely introduce a header to a fence on a combine. Nope, didn't do that. Anyways, you're mostly looking behind you because all your problems are going to be behind you, and that's what you're focused on, is doing a good job of what's behind you, so you're mostly looking back, which is sweet. The seat can swivel. That said, there's also a buddy seat here. People can sit. It's not super duper comfortable, but it does the job. And so yeah, that is a pretty quick tour. Not really quick, I guess, but that is a tour of our seating machine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about anything in particular, please let me know. If you thought this was great, let me know. If it wasn't great, well, I don't care. I'm going to do more of them. Thanks for watching. See you next time.